Welcome back, everybody, to Maniacal Music Musings. I'm your host, Jeremy. Just like my hero, Odorous Ungerus, I was lost in the ice for many a century. Some may call me the missing link, but just know when the world comes apart, I will turn this planet into fields of gold for you all. And remember as well, you know nothing about me, so prepare for the end in 7 days. But enough about me. I'm going back in the ice. Let me introduce my co-host. He goes by many names, but he will tell you my name is Rune. His eyes shine a heavy cloud, though no rain will fall from them today. He runs a ghost nation with another kind of madness that has never been seen before. His past lover once wrote in her diary's black pages that certain days he would lock her in the pit and pendulum for 7 days straight, touching her with his raw caress. Never more will he do it again, though, as she prays for the pain you serve upon her to come onto you until he can see the shape of my heart at least, she says. CJ motherfucking playing the music god, everybody.
You worked hard to put that one together, didn't you?
Yes, I freaking did. I took joy. I when I saw the song titles for this week, I was like, I'm spending time writing his today. I got good song titles this week. I'm working with it. A lot of dark and gloomy stuff in that one, so it works.
I'm I'm kind of mad because the record that I wanted to bring, and I mean I'm not going to go great detail, but the record I wanted to bring, I'd already brought with you in Chansey, and it would have
Oh yeah.
that Cell Dweller Black Star
Hmm.
would have been so perfect for this episode because the entire theme of it, the Black Star theme, is basically like Star Wars AI type, is like wished upon a black star, and um you know it's the whole theme of it is AI, and I was like, damn it, as soon as I saw like his bio, I was like, that's why I asked you, did I bring that one to the first Cell Dweller, and I was like,
Yep.
damn it, I knew I should have
Yeah.
waited to bring that one.
Uh, uh,
Anywho, I didn't know
yeah. Yeah. I mean, I had other things in mind as well, but I brought some of those as well. So I was like, I'm like, well, it's gonna be what it's gonna be, and well, we'll get to my album and your album eventually. But ladies and gentlemen, our guest tonight, you, well, you will recognize him eventually from my paranormal show as well. Uh, he was on there, but this episode will release first because I have way less backlog on this show than I do in that show. But ladies and gentlemen, Guy Morris, author, musician, and composer, and so much more. He has a very vivid profile. So, welcome, Guy. Welcome, Guy. Good to see you again, buddy. It's been a month or so, or at least. So, I
Thank you
know.
for the invite, CJ or Jeremy. I appreciate it. Nice to meet CJ as well.
And so, for those who don't know, Guy was on my other show because he has written a handful of books, some of them about AI, and he is a expert in the AI field. Which, when that interview drops, be sure to check it out, folks, because it's very entertaining and very interesting. I still can remember it to this day, and I can't say that for every interview I do in that show. So it's it was very enlightening, and we it gets interesting. It really does. I'm not going to give away too many spoilers though, but when I saw in your profile you were a musician, I had to get you on this show as well. So what
Well,
how
thank you for the invite. Thank you.
what kind of music did you do? What kind of musician were you?
I was, pop, rock, blues, jazz, a little bit of everything. I was never a professional because I had a real career, but it was always my go-to creative outlet, vent, community, whatever. I thought before I went to college that I was going to be a musician. It turned out that wasn't in the stars for me. I had some great experiences. I had a couple of co-writes in the 70s that seemed to hit the low level of the charts. And then Disney called me up. A friend of mine asked me if I would write some songs for him. He was a producer, and he wanted to pitch Nickelodeon on creating a kids music channel similar to MTV, but for kids. And he had the idea, thought the idea was great, but he didn't really understand a lot of kids music, and neither did I. But he asked me if I'd write some kids songs. So I thought, well, that sounds like an interesting exercise? I said, sure. So I wrote them 5 songs. A couple weeks later, we were marathon, 14-hour day. We recorded them. And that was the last I heard of it. His Nickelodeon thing fell through, and I thought, no harm, no foul. It was a lot of fun. And I just went on with my work until Disney called me one day. And I thought they were a joke. I thought they called me up and they say, Guy Morris. I said, yeah, we'd like to talk to you about the tape that you sent us. I said, well, I never sent you a tape. And I know that's true because I never sent anybody a tape. So he was like, yeah, I'm looking at your tape right now. And I said, you're not looking at my tape. That's somebody else. He says, Guy Morris. That's me. And he said, it had your number on it. I said, well, how did it have my number on it? And he started saying the songs. And all of a sudden I realized my friend who was the producer had sent them over. So they wanted to contract me for a dinosaurs project, and then it was a scary songs project, and then I got a Little Mermaid project, an Aladdin project. And the way Disney worked at that time is this wasn't the film songs. That was all the Elton John, high royalty, really pricey stuff. They would take a toy, they would take this film theme, they'd create toys, and then they would hire cheap guys like me to write songs that they would put on a cassette tape or a CD. It turned into a CD after a while, and they would sell music with the toys. And of course, it wasn't maybe they put one song from the film on there, but it was all other original music that they bought really cheap. And that was kind of how I got that thread started. So, but otherwise, I recorded a few albums. I played in worship bands. I played in a few other things. But when I retired, that was when I went through a transition, and I decided that wasn't going to make it. I wanted to actually at that point become an author. And that's when my third act career has been producing books and on thrillers. And I got an AI book coming out next year and other things. So.
A very adventurous life. A lot of different fields to go down there.
Not even touching the surface. We haven't talked about feeding sharks without cages or cartel threats in the Mesoamerican Mayan jungles, and none of the good stuff. None of the good stuff.
Well, that's all for a podcast that hopefully someday down the road I can do when my kids are all grown up.
That's right. Midlife Crisis podcast. There you go. Midlife Crisis.
Oh, I will be hitting that age in good 5-10 years, so maybe that actually might line up. So actually, you just put something in my head now for the future. Thank you. Appreciate that. As my wife rolls her eyes because oh god, not another one.
It's not my idea, honey. I blame this guy over here. He just came out of the blue. He polluted it.
But literally, blame that guy.
I understand about the sharks. I have an uncle who owns a resort in the Grand Caymans, and he's a scuba expert, and he's steady trying to get me. You should come scuba diving with me. No, why? There's things in the ocean that'll eat me. Oh, a shark ain't gonna bite you. I know they're not gonna bite me. I know they're not going to bite me because I'm keeping my fat ass on the beach. So unless that shark grows legs and chases me across the beach, I'll guarantee you a shark is not ever going to bite me.
Well, I was insane enough to volunteer for a shark feeding dive on my honeymoon. Now, that did not go over well with my wife. She was like, okay, I warned you yesterday. If you make me bury you tomorrow, I don't care if you're maimed, you're dead. You better come out with all digits or that's it, So yeah, now to tell you the truth, it was one of the most exciting highlight experiences of my entire life. Something that you can't actually appreciate until you're actually in the moment. And was I scared at moments? Yes. But once I realized that the way that I was not in any real significant danger from all of this, because anybody who really does know sharks and studied them know that they're not man-eaters. They sometimes bite by mistake, but this was a real, when you have to do that thing where you're facing your fears, right? Overcoming your fears. Now, I loved it. I was a diver. I dived wrecks. And this was my way of basically getting over that fear of jumping in the water, saying, well, I'm going to go in intentionally in a situation where we're going to draw a whole bunch of sharks. And I'm going to let that either scare the pants off me so that I never do it again, or cure me so that I never worried about it again.
Yeah, I mean it's. Yeah, I don't know. I've seen open water. I've seen open water in too many shark movies to ever actually want to do that. I mean, I would do some cage diving, but I've also seen movies where that goes wrong too. So I don't know. It's just and
Well, I
that's
was once described as one bolt short of losing a wheel. So
and, and I mean it's that whole thing of from open water where it's like, okay, I go down the water with the sharks. What if I come up and the boat's gone? And then I'm really screwed because then the sharks are eventually going to get hungry enough to eat me. So it's going to be a whole nother thing. But for my future shark podcast, it's another conversation. But the ideas keep coming. But folks, we're here tonight to talk music, of course. And no, actually there's no shark bands on this one. Though they do exist. I'm pretty sure at least I know at least one band with a shark in the name.
Shark
But
Island.
not the one I was thinking of, but okay.
One of my favorite bands of all time.
Isn't there a band like Somebody in the Sharks or something like that? Like I forget what it is.
the only thing I can think musically of Sharks is the Baby Shark song, which I think everybody universally hates, and Mac the Knife. There are a couple lines in there about being a shark, which I thought was the oddest hit of all. It's basically about a serial killer, and he makes it sound hip and cool, like he should be on the Vegas Strip. So yeah, it was. Those are the only shark references I can remember.
Well, I mean, I'm sure Elstorm has a few, but what album did you want to bring us tonight, Guy? There's a segue for you.
Well, I suggested Ten Sumner's Tale. It's one of my favorite albums of all time. Not necessarily the favorite, but one of the top five for sure. I thought every song on there showed brilliance, both musically, lyrically. It was an incredible switch over from his style and really kind of solidified his new themes and kind of very intricate, sophisticated jazz style. And it was one of those that I couldn't ever stop listening enough. And still to this day, I pulled up the list of songs, and every one of them is just an amazing tune.
Well, before I let CJ give his review, because I'll save that for last. I mean, I know Sting from years and years of just being in grocery stores and hearing his songs, and of course I know the Police because I mean, who doesn't know Roxanne for God's sake?
Yeah.
And I mean, this album this is not Sting and the Police. This is a whole new realm, and of course I knew a couple songs from this album because everybody does. But this album as a whole, I didn't know what to expect going in fully, and I was like, ugh. I'm like, what am I getting myself into here with this thing? And I thought it was gonna be like, way too soft and kind of like, I don't want to say boring, but like too soft and too accurate. Too adult contemporary.
Yeah.
I thought it'd be too adult contemporary, but I didn't realize how jazzy it would be though, and it almost like I want to say reminded me of Dave Matthews Band in a way, but it was pre Dave Matthews Band, so I think maybe he inspired them a little bit. But and I mean I could hear a lot of music I like nowadays. I could hear inspirations coming from like this type of music back in the 80s. So I mean, a lot of the bands that are out nowadays that I like that do jazzy stuff, which there's not that many of them because I'm not that big into jazz, but I always appreciated it. And
he was always good at blending the rock and the jazz, and that's where I think that what really made him pure. Like if you listen to pure jazz music, it's a pure jazz kind of sound. It's its own unique thing. I think Sting brought his Police rock and roll into that jazz studio.
He definitely did. I mean, yeah.
There's one song in particular that was just outstanding for me, and as a musician, what made it outstanding was the fact that he had a 7/8 time signature that he transitioned into a 4/4 time signature for the chorus and then back into a 7/8. And you almost have to count it to really get the way he's doing that rhythm. It's pure genius.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I enjoyed the album overall. I mean, there were certain songs that kind of like got a little melancholy in the middle, and I'm like, all right, I'm waiting for that. Let's get to the next song. Let's get to the next song. Come on, let's play it through. And I could definitely hear, like, I could hear some Roxanne, I could hear some Don't Stand So Close to Me, like, in these songs. Like, I can hear that style. He still has that style, just it's less like his songs are less. I would almost say doo-woppy than Sting the Police was. Because Sting the Police had like that doo-wop sound to them sometimes, where with the chorus singing things back to him like would be very doo-woppy. So he moved away from that, and I'm like, all right, you know what? I could actually enjoy this album, and I did enjoy it overall. It was not bad, but there's just, I mean, I have two honorable mentions, so obviously I liked it enough, but it's just overall, I mean, is it something I'll go back and listen to every day, every week, every month? Probably not, but I did put a lot of songs from it into my like list on Spotify, so I'm sure they'll pop up here and there on my drives when I'm not listening to music for this show or other shows I'm on. So I appreciate it finally getting a chance to actually hear Sting. I don't. It's been years and I never actually gave him a chance, so that's why I love this show. I actually get to give artists I know of but never hear a chance.
Yeah, yeah. Well, as you asked about my favorite, I mean, when I was young, it was Beatles, Crosby, Stills and Nash, Paul Simon, Bob Dylan. 10 years after, I was actually into Black Sabbath for a little while, and then it just got same old, same old. It just didn't grow for me. And then, I obviously went through phases with the Eagles and other things, but as I grew and matured in my own life, and I became an intellectual in a lot of ways. I mean, I'm a nerd. I think his sophistication just spoke to me. I think that his lyrics always seemed to have a story to tell. They weren't just cheap throwaway lyrics like you get in a lot of songs. And I think for some reason it actually spoke to me. And I liked the fact that as a musician, I would listen to it and think, now how could I actually play that? Would I play that? And I would watch the videos with his guitarist and thinking about whether I would actually be able to play along with that. And it was for me, it was almost like this is sort of the grown up level of rock and roll.
Yeah, I get that actually. That makes sense. Uh, but CJ, I'll let you give your review. What did you think of Sting?
Sting is one of them people that I'm kind of 50-50 on Sting.
Mhm.
I don't tend to have like a lot of middle ground with him. I either really love the particular song or I'm just bored to tears with it. So there is that material with Sting that I really love. Fortress Around My Heart is one of my favorite all-time songs.
Mhm.
Then there's material by Sting that just absolutely makes me want to stab my ears. But Sting is an anomaly, like he was saying. Sting
Mhm.
is superbly talented as a musician, as a bass player, as a composer, multiple styles, mixing in reggae and ska and rock and jazz and blues. So Sting is just kind of, one of my favorite records that Sting did. He did it about 5 years ago. Him and Shaggy did a record, and it's a reggae record basically,
Mhm.
and it's a fun record, because if you know Shaggy,
Yeah, it
um,
wasn't me.
yeah, it's Shaggy doing the singing, and Sting's more on the musical side of it. Sting wrote the songs essentially, so it's this almost Shaggy singing Police style songs.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay.
It's a very
Yeah.
fun vibe, and it's not, on the other hand, that song that Sting, Brian Adams, and I don't remember his name.
Oh, I know
Uh,
that song. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, that Robin Hood song. That song makes me want to just.
Oh, the Robin Hood song. Yeah,
That
that's
makes
not
me want to
really
run
my favorite.
screaming. Have you ever really, really loved a woman? And it's like, shut the fuck. I hate that song. This record though, this is.
But
I
you put
remember.
Sting with the Dire Straits, classic
Yeah.
hit. You know,
I
Money for
don't.
Nothing. That's brilliant.
Oddly enough, I thought I had heard this record, but I don't remember, other than one song. I don't remember actually listening to this record before.
Well, the only one that I think people relate to is Fields of Gold. But
And I had never heard that one. I had heard If I Ever Lose My Faith.
Yep.
that
And
was another one. Yep.
that was
Um,
so it was a new experience for me, and it was better than I thought. Again, a couple songs couldn't completely do without, but there were a couple songs that were kind of like, hey, this is kind of cool. This has got like a almost like a Stray Cats meets Dizzy Gillespie meets, type of thing going on. So, um, again, knowing it was Sting didn't shock me because, he's got the skill set to do that. So not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I came into it with kind of like Sting.
As soon as I sent him the message with the album, he was like, "Oh."
um,
And
you know, um,
sorry, I'm an old school guy. What can I say?
no,
I know.
But
I'm a
that's
massive Pink Floyd fan. I love Dire Straits. I love Gary Moore. I love the Police. Synchronicity is still one of the great records.
mhm.
Um,
See, and I was never really into Sting back then. To me, the songs were too simplistic and basic and repetitive. I didn't think he really had matured as a musician yet. And I think that there is, so I was never really into him back then. So I was surprised. I think I started changing my opinion of Sting when he had oh man, what was the song? It really had, I'm having drawing a mental block now, but it had to do with, um, it'll come to me, but it was the one that he did after that, where it was all the, basically, with love. It was a really great, like almost reggae kind of song. Um, It'll come to me, but it was back in his early stage, right after he left the Police. It was one of his first hits after that, and it was the first time I heard a Sting song. I thought, well, that's a really good song, and I was always surprised. Now, Fragile was, hit us at the right time. It was after 9/11. I think we were all kind of feeling that. That was another one, and so he kind of grew on me over the years. And as I said, because of my mathematical kind of background, I think the sophistication of some of his beats and structures and his compositions always impressed me. The lyrics were always deeply meaningful, and I love his voice. So, I mean, you're right. There are some songs just any musician know.
right.
My favorite musicians, I can label Beatles songs that are just boring as hell and they should never been recorded, or just bad songs.
I have the same issue with Bryan Adams.
Yeah,
like, there are Bryan Adams songs that I love to death. His "Waking Up the Neighbors" record, cover to cover, one of the best rock records of all time. There are records after that are where he did his ballady stuff. I would.
What's his?
I would rather sandpaper my balls.
Oh my god, what's his most popular song? I can't think of it right now.
I'm just saying, like,
I mean,
Sting's not the only person that
I mean,
have that issue of.
put it this way, you're right about the maturity thing with Sting, because I mean, if you want a good version of Roxanne, go listen to the version they put in Moulin Rouge. That is a way better version than the version Sting originally did.
exactly.
And I mean, because I
think to some extent, the Police were holding him back.
Mm.
They were more limited. None of them were able to really mature past that in any meaningful way. I think their skills were basically holding him back. And I think once he started surrounding himself with different types of musicians, different instruments, different interpretations, different influences, I think that allowed him to flourish. But as I said, he's not for everybody. And like every artist, not every song is genius. But overall, when I look at his albums, he has some great albums. That always stood out as well.
I mean, yeah, this album. Honestly, this album reminded me of, and it came a good decade before at least, but this album reminded me a lot of like what became Dave Matthews Band's Crash album. Like there's a lot of the same jazz notes in Dave Matthews Dave Matthews album that is in this album, and that kind of remind me of it. And that's the only Dave Matthews Band album I ever fucking knew, and it's the only album I ever will know, because I do not like Dave Matthews Band besides that album.
Yeah,
like, it's
I'm
just
never a Dave Matthews fan either. He had one or two songs that were okay, but it was never.
I mean, the whole Crash album, which has Crash Into Me on it, which is a song everybody knows. That whole album is pure genius. yes, a lot of people don't like his voice, so they don't like him, like that album, because of his voice. But the music on that album is pure jazz gold.
Yeah.
Like his guitar player who died is one of the best guitar players of all time. I will never go back on that statement. He was just so phenomenal with the notes he could hit and the way he could play guitar. I mean, yeah, say what you will about Dave Matthews' actual voice, but I mean his band is unbeatable. His band is unbeatable. But anyway, we're going down rabbit holes here. But got what are your top? Well, this is always the fun part. What would you say are your top 5 songs off your own album?
Off this album
Oh yeah.
thing. Okay, let me kind of Stronger Than Justice, Fields of Gold, Shape of My Heart, St. Augustine in Hell.
Ooh, interesting choices. See, all right. I had 2 honorable mentions for this album. I didn't think I would have a top 5 for this album honestly at first, but then I got into it and I was like, okay, I can. I started off my morning today with this album, and
Mhm.
that's I honestly, if I did this album in the afternoon, I might have had a completely different perspective on it. To start off your morning at 9 a.m. with this album is a good way to start your day.
Yeah.
So, Shape of My Heart and 7 Days were my honorable mentions. Shape of My Heart's a good song. I had to throw it on the list. And 7 Days was a really fun song. I almost wanted to throw it higher, but then other songs knocked it down.
Mhm.
But I like the way he goes through the days. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I've heard other artists do the same thing, and it's always a fun thing to like go
Any
through a
guy
whole
who's
week.
ever had the pressure to pop the question and wasn't really ready will know this song and relate to it in their heart.
Well, put it this way: the way my wife and I got married was literally a justice of peace in our driveway, and it wasn't even me popping a question. It was just literally like me saying to her like one day, like, "Hey, you want to just get married?" I'm like, we're living together. We've been together for that's 22. So we've been together for like 4 or 5 years at this point. Like, let's just get married. It wasn't even. I didn't pop no damn question. I didn't have a ring even. I just said, let's get married. We're
It
already
was
living together.
we don't have anything else to do this weekend. Hey, how about?
I mean, literally. I mean, literally, it was just like, all right. And we literally went and got the certificate done, and then we had a justice of the peace come like a week later and marry us in the driveway in front of our kids and our dog. So
That's fine.
I mean, I'm like, I just was like, our family's not, neither of our families can afford a big wedding. Neither of our parents can afford a big wedding. So why the hell even waste time trying to do that? We can't afford a big wedding in our backyard or anything even. So I'm like, let's just get married. Like, why do we need a fancy ceremony around it? We know we want each other. We know we love each other. So I got to write my own vows, and nobody got to hear my funniness, which was a sad part. But uh, my number 5 was "Everybody Laugh But You." I have never heard that song, but that song was fun as hell. I love that song. Uh, Fields of Gold is number 4. I I know I've heard that song before, but it's not a song that really like I had recollection of. I mean, and obviously it's a classic Sting song. I know that just by the title, but it's a good song. Heavy Cloud No Rain was number 3 because
Yeah.
it was a really funky song with great instrumentals. Plus, he mentions a lot of voodoo stuff in it, and as a paranormal podcaster, I love voodoo. So anything to do with voodoo or hoodoo has my attention. My number 2 was a song that everybody knows. Well, I mean, CJ knew it off. It's the one CJ knew, and it's the one I know. I always have known. If I ever lose my faith in you,
Mhm.
I can't count how many times, like since childhood, that I've walked down the aisles of supermarkets hearing like that song playing over the loudspeakers. So I never knew it was Sting. Like, if someone asked me before today, I never could tell them it was Sting off the top of my head. So, but it happens all the time with supermarket songs to me. I don't know who sings them until someone brings the album on the show. That I'm like, oh, they sung that. But and my number 1, I did not think this song would end up being my number 1, but Epilogue, nothing about me. Like just the horns throughout the whole song
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
phenomenal. I am a huge sucker for a brass section, whether it be horns, saxophones, any of that. I'm a huge sucker for it. I mean, give me some Michael Bolton with some saxophone, and I'm freaking. You have me drooling at the mouth. But the epilogue was a really good song. I enjoyed the hell out of it. Like
Yeah.
you know nothing about me. I've been saying it to people all my life, so that song I really could relate to. So yeah, this album surprised me. I like being surprised by albums in this show. So
Good.
good
Yeah.
job. And you are the first person to bring a Sting album overall. Nobody's brought Sting or Sting and the Police. So first person. And
Well, I like to be unusual.
well, no, I mean I'm honestly more surprised than anything. It's been 100 plus episodes, and no one and I'm surprised no one's brought a Police album. Honestly, that's what really surprised me. But it is what it is. People, there's a lot of artists that we haven't hit yet, even on the show in 100 plus episodes, which just goes to all those naysayers out there. When I started the show, they said, "Oh, you're going to run out of albums to talk about eventually." I'm like, "Are you
Really?
freaking kidding?" I'm like,
You
I
gotta be
have to go
kidding
say,
me. So
I have to
many.
go, it shows how small minded these people are because I'm like, I'm like, do you really think that? I'm like, I have probably 150 artists that I know of that I could bring, and they all have dozens of albums. I'm like, you think we're gonna run out of music? Are you kidding me? I
This
run out of
generation is the most prolific artistic generation of any in all history.
oh,
Between music, film, art, especially music and film, but music. I mean, just think of how many hundreds and hundreds of musicians have come out and become part of our culture since the 60s.
oh yeah,
It's just, we
I
don't even think about all of these things that we say, blowing in the wind. You know, people say that, they don't know where it came from. You know?
exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, and it's a simple fact that I mean, we rarely ever talk about artists that came out in the last 10, 15 years even. Like it's rare. Most of the artists we talk about started out in the 60s to early 90s.
Yeah.
Like we don't we once in a while hit newer artists, and I mean me and CJ especially bring newer artists, but it's not a thing. Like it's a lot most guests want to bring something from the 60s or 70s or 80s because
Yeah.
it's just that's when they grew up and that's when they love things. But
Well, and to be honest, I think a lot of the stuff I hear today is derivative of that
hmm
roots,
oh
and
yeah, it has
and,
to
and
be.
not always as talented. You get the
hmm
electronic voiceovers or the kind of synthesized voice, and then you listen to the real live harmonies of Crosby, Stills and Nash, and there's no comparison.
I mean, I mean, and you'll love this. AI has started to ruin music. So
Hmm.
because there are songs out there that you don't know if they're real or they're AI anymore. So
Yeah.
it's we my coworker and I actually found we went down a rabbit hole the other day and we found this AI artist on Spotify called Sus Records,
Hmm.
and it's all like it's all dirty sexual songs that like but through all different genres like 50s, country, 70s. Like you would never know it's not a real artist unless you actually looked into it. So if you just heard it, and they're all dirty as hell and it's hilarious. I can't even think of the name of them right now, but they are freaking. Oh, what the hell is that one? We went down a rabbit hole with that. It was so funny. Literally made my Friday last week the best day ever. Like it was just we were like, okay, if our HR person hears us talking about this, we're gonna get freaking fired. But it's yeah. Literally one's called "It's Too Big to Put in My A." I want it in the keister for Easter. That's a 50 song. Like it's just some of the dirtiest lyrics I've ever heard in my life, and I'm laughing my ass off listening to them. But they were actually good. They were actually good songs. The 50s one had me snap my fingers along with it. I'm like, this is a good song.
Yeah, yeah. I think I've seen one or two of those on YouTube. Dirty songs done in the 50s, and I had to think, I couldn't even imagine that somebody would allow somebody to record that in the 50s.
Well,
So I'm realizing now that you're saying that's probably AI.
Well, honestly, you'd be surprised. We did a doo-wop bracket back a while ago, and and there was actually a song in there from the 50s or 60s, I forget which, but it was literally called "It Ain't the Meat, It's the Motion," and it was a dirty ass song. And I'm like, this is an actual song by an actual band. Like
Yeah.
this is not AI. This is an actual song. So and there's another one.
Musicians back then have always been horny, you know?
Oh yeah, I mean, people have urges. I mean, and
Yep.
there's another one called "60 Minute Man" that was actually a 50s doo-wop song, and it was a really good song. Like I was like, okay, I'm like I love a good song that's dirt and it's dirty, so that's even better. But anyway, CJ, what are your top five or whatever you brought first thing?
I had four songs. Number four, If I Ever Lose My Faith. Number three was She's Too Good for Me.
Mm-hmm. Good one.
Number 2 is Love is Stronger Than Justice.
Mm-hmm.
But my favorite one on the record was Something the Boy Said. That was the one that was.
Oh yeah, that was a good one too. See, and they're all good. See, when you said pick 5, I was like really struggling a little bit. It's like, I don't know, they're all good. So we all picked different 5, and I like all of your picks too.
Yeah, I mean,
The Something That Boy Said that's the one that was it was sort of, it reminded me almost of something that Brian Setzer would record, because it had that kind of swing jazz feel, but it had like a little bit of rockabilly in it.
Yeah, but it also had that almost um, uh, like almost fantasy Lord of the Rings kind of feel.
Yeah.
You know, the whole thing of basically the carrying crow and the whole image of death and everything else. Something a boy said, and it was, the journey and a quest, and it almost felt Game of Thrones to me, or Lord of the Rings.
see, I didn't get that because if I got that feeling, I probably would have picked up my top 5. Because I love any music that's fantasy based, like or sounds fantasy based. So I would, if I actually got that feeling off that, I would have went with it. But I didn't come across that. But
Well, the lyrics, I think that was mainly in the lyrics for me. Right?
everybody, I mean, I don't know. Everybody hears songs differently, so it's the way it's the way our brains work. But I guess it's time to go into the album I wanted to bring today, which this is a band I recently discovered, even though they've been around longer than I've been alive. But I wanted to bring them because I I think I'm only up to their 9th album now, and they have a lot of albums, but this was the first album they did that actually like really impressed me. And it actually came out the same year as your album, which is the way I do things. I always look at the year first, and I try to keep it in that same year because I, make a topic out of it. And I was like, hey, you know what? I'm like, let's bring this because this is actually a good album, and yeah, it's a little different style than your album, but I couldn't find anything that year that even related to close to that style that I know and like that I haven't brought before. And I'm like, I can't think of anything on top of my head for this. I mean, yeah, I could have brought a random Elton John album or something like that, but it's like, I brought Elton John on this show so many times. I try to avoid bringing, I try to avoid doing that, but he comes up again and again and again. But I ended up bringing Rage's The Missing Link album, which I I think is it was the first album they did that impressed me. Like I said, like I now have albums past that impressed me a little bit more. Their in particular their 8th album, which is titled XXIII, is phenomenal. It actually would relate to Sting really well, but unfortunately I didn't hear it till after I already picked my album for this one. So I was like, ah, crap. Oh well, another show in the future at some point. But the Missing Link is when Rage really got their act together. I would say I think it's their 3rd or 4th album. They really got their act together by this point, and they were performing very cohesively as a band. And I will even admit that this album doesn't start off the greatest. And it doesn't like the beginning of the album kind of like leaves you hanging, but the end of the album is what really I love. The last like 5-6 songs just are phenomenal songs, and I'm like, all right. I'm like, I'll bring this on. I've been dying to bring Rage anyway since I got into them because they did a Powerwolf cover song, and that's what made me want to listen to them. So I'm like, I don't have I don't have to have that good a reason. I could just bring them on for because I want to, but it's I tend to enjoy this band, and I'm learning more what they're doing. I think I'm up to like 98 now, 99 with the records, and they just released a single last week for God's sake, so they're still performing, which is phenomenal. They've been around longer than I've been freaking alive, which that's 37 years. So they've been around for at least 40 years at this point. So you gotta love when a band has that mainstay for that long. And the singer hasn't changed. The singer's the only person in the band that hasn't changed. Every other person in the band has changed at some point. The singer is the only one who stayed. So, and he's got a decent voice. So I'm like, let's do it. But dying to hear some opinions on this. What did you think of Rage, Guy?
I didn't get a chance to listen to it. I wasn't sure that I wasn't sure that I was supposed to. I just pulled it up right now. I've got it kind of the page up on it. So I'm seeing there's about 17 songs, but I haven't actually listened to it, and I'm not sure I know them. I might have missed. I might have missed that. That might have been during the part of my career where I was working 100-hour weeks and wasn't doing anything.
Yeah, I mean, all right, yeah, it's all good. I mean, yeah.
Well, what does CJ, the music god, think?
Oh, half dreading this, half waiting for it, but I know there's going to be a explanation here. But CJ, go
Um,
ahead, buddy.
I've been a fan of Rage for decades. Um, I'm more a fan of the middle era when Victor Smolsky was a guitarist, as opposed to this era when Monty was the guitar player. Monty kind of, I don't know, he's he's a very repetitive guitar player. Like he tends to repeat the
Well,
same riffs over and over.
It's funny because you were telling me about a band before we went live that basically sounds like Pantera, and that Pantera supposedly stole the style from. I listening to this album again today. I'm like, you know what? I hear a lot of Megadeth and Metallica guitar in this. Like
Yes.
that's what I hear is Megadeth and Metallica guitar.
Actually, what you're hearing isn't Megadeth and Metallica. What you're hearing is Creator. A lot of Rage's music is heavily based because they're both German, and it's heavily based on the stuff that Millie wrote. It's a toned down version of Creator. I like Rage. It's not something I listen to a ton. I have to be in the right place in the right time to listen to them because otherwise, because of the repetitiveness of their music, it becomes background music to me. It's like song one will start, and then the next thing I know, they're on like song 14, and I've not even registered that the other 12 songs have been.
Yeah.
They're very good musicians and they're good songwriters. They've been around a long time. They're a great live band. I've seen them live multiple times. But you know, they don't reinvent the wheel. Let's put it that way.
I mean they don't, but see, that's the thing. They sound like to me like I mean I don't know Creator from a hole in the wall really. I know of them. I just never really listened to them that much, but they sound to me like I said like Megadeth and Metallica ish.
Yeah.
But
well, so does Creator. Creator's the German version of that. Rage has built their thing walking a fine line between what Creator does and what Halloween does.
Yeah.
So they walk this fine line between Keeper of the Seven Keys and Coma of Souls. You know, to where 1 minute they're on the thrashy side, 1 minute they're on the more melodic side. So,
I mean, that's the thing is like with this album, especially, I could hear the slight differences in guitar and drums like between each song. Like I can tell when a song ends with this one.
As you get to the records like Unity and Ghost, you'll hear it even more.
Yeah,
Victor is a brilliant guitar player and he's classically trained.
Well,
so he put a lot more emphasis on composing the parts as opposed to just playing fast and playing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely is a head. At this point, they're definitely a headbanger band. Like you could just go like insane with it during their songs.
And as you get to like where Ghost starts, like around, I guess like 92, 93, when Victor joined, that 10-year period that Victor was in the band is.
I think you're a little early with the year there because this album came out in 93. So,
or was it 90? Maybe it was 98, 99.
I mean, that's what I'm on now. I mean, I just listened to what the hell's the name of that album? I mean, I just finished XIII and I'm on the one after it. I forget what it's called, but they have a lot. They have a lot of albums. Oh my god, they have a lot of albums. But
Victor joined in '99. He joined on the Ghosts record.
All right, then
Welcome to the Other Side, Unity.
Yeah, I'm getting to that album then. That album's probably next.
That's where it really gets good. Like Victor brought a lot to that band.
I mean, they went through stages apparently because I mean the
Yeah,
first few albums before this one I would never bring on the show because I was like, yeah, they sound all the songs sound the same. But this
they've
album's
had
what,
four distinct periods in their
yeah.
music.
I mean
You
this album's where it starts sounding a little different to me, and that's why I really liked it. And some of the songs I really enjoyed the hell out of. Which I mean, I had three or more mentions for this album because it was freaking phenomenal. There are some phenomenal songs on it. Uh, Pit and the Pendulum, Certain Days. Well, Pit and the Pendulum is my first honorable mention because I love some Edgar Allan Poe. So the fact they referenced that like made me smile. Certain Days and Another Kind of Madness are just really good songs as well. My number five was Nevermore. Once again, that Poe reference.
Mm-hmm.
My number four is The Missing Link, which is a really good song. And I mean, I mean, makes me think about Bigfoot, of course, because I'm a paranormal guy. So it made me think about Bigfoot. The whole album was supposed to be, I was hoping the whole album would be like a whole thing, but it wasn't what I thought it would be. But my number three was Her Diary's Black Pages, which is a really like good love song. It almost like an anti-love song in a way. But number two is Raw Caress because that's Raw Caress is a almost like a traditional like '80s rock song,
Hmm.
almost a ballad. And my number one, which is where they really impressed me with this album, is "Lost in the Ice." It's a like an epic song. It's like I want to say it's like 9 to 12 minutes long, something like that.
Wow.
It's a it's an epic song. It's got great instrumentals at the end. The last minute and a half, they really like they bring in like other instruments besides just guitars and drums, and they it makes it sound like an orchestra almost, and it's impressive. I mean, if I kind of see where they're going, and then when I listen to XIII, their eighth album, like I'm like, okay, they're going for that full. XIII almost sounds like an early Lord of the Lost album, the way he does his symphonies. So, I mean that I can't wait to bring that one on the show someday down the road. But overall, this album, excuse me,
Pleasure.
thank you. But this album overall, it's just, I liked it, and I thought it'd be a fun '93 album to bring because it was what rock was in, or not, was it '93? Yeah, '93. Yeah, it was a fun '93 rock album for me. But CJ, I know you didn't really get a chance to listen to this album, so I don't know if you have a list at all or not. But
I I I did listen to it. I was so exhausted from all the hospice stuff and everything. I kept falling asleep during it. Like I was sitting in the chair and I was just nodding off. And you know, I'm probably the only person that could fall asleep to a record that's damn near speed metal. You know, but I've been so tired with all of
I get,
this
I
stuff.
get it, buddy.
Um, and it was the third one I listened to. I listened to the Sting first, and then I listened to mine, and then I listened to yours because my record was more in line with what he brought. So I
Yeah,
kind of wanted my mental space to be in there because I knew what Rage was, and if I listened to it first, then I was gonna like lose the plot. But um, it's a decent record. It's not their best. It's not their worst. Um, you know, I've heard the record before. I've heard most of it. I haven't heard their new stuff, but you know, like I said, they're kind of that middle of the road. That you know, if you enjoy Gravedigger, Halloween, Jag Panzer, Iron Savior, that type of sound, that's kind of you know,
yeah.
that's
I
who
mean,
they're so.
yeah, I get it. I mean, and yeah, I don't know. There's kind of a, I mean, honestly, Lost in the Ice kind of made me like when I was listening to that again tonight. 'Cause I really was sitting at home while my baby daughter was sleeping, like listening to this while she was sleeping, so I could finish it off. And I was like, Lost in the Ice is actually almost like like along the lines of Sting a little bit, and it's along the lines of like an AI post-apocalyptic world type thing. So that's what I was like. You know what? This kind of does match up. All right, I'm actually fucking happy I picked this album now. That one song makes it line up. The rest of the album is doesn't line up, but it's a good album overall. But well, CJ, what album did you want to bring? Because I'm actually dying to talk about this album. For good or bad, you'll find out in a minute. But what album did you want to bring?
The record I wanted to bring was Cell Dweller, Black Star, but since I'd already brought that one, I wanted something with sort of an AI-ish theme. This isn't necessarily an AI theme so much as sort of a
Post-apocalyptic.
post-apocalypse, sci-fi-ish with some AI influences. It's Gary Numan. People know Gary Numan for the song Cars. So, it's his classic song that if you're into Gary Numan, you probably know way more. Gary's kind of one of them guys in the new wave-ish rock, that he's sort of considered one of the godfathers of the style. In the 80s when we were listening to Flock of Seagulls and Kaja Goo Goo and Oingo Boingo, Gary was right there with Danny Elfman, pioneering that sound that, today has turned into EDM and synthwave and chiptune and all of these subgenres of electronic music. His newest, well, it's not his newest one, he put one out after it. One of his newer records is called Savage, Songs from a Broken World.
Right.
And it's a Gary Numan record. That's pretty much what I can say. If you know Gary Numan, you'll understand. If you don't know Gary Numan, it'll be, for the fans of those people who like synthwave, more or less.
Well, Guy, did you get a chance to check out this album or no?
I missed the notice on Podmatch that you guys wanted me to listen to these other two albums, and I had a deadline to get a new book to the editor last Friday, and I have been just blind to everything in the world except the deadline. So I missed that you guys wanted me to listen to this. I apologize, my bad. I should have looked at that more closely. I normally don't get homework. I wasn't expecting homework. But I do know this album sounds, several of the songs on this album, I must have had a friend that listened to it because some of the songs sound very, very familiar. Really edgy kind of rock.
Yeah.
Kind of synthwave rock, yeah.
Well, I like just judging from what I did know about, from what I'm listening, like Ghost Nation sounds familiar, Mercy sounded familiar. They're certainly, I think that your post-apocalyptic sort of social commentary, consciousness, sort of that life beyond the edge, and those sound very familiar. And I think that there's a place for that. I think that certainly it's that whole theme has been kind of rolling around in our heads since we started bombing nuclear bombs, and I think that apocalyptic mentality has kind of seeped into our culture. And I thought this was I thought their lyrics were really good. I remember looking at some of the lyrics at one point. As I said, I remember the Ghost Nation song from some other place. So I can relate from that perspective, but I missed the homework to listen to the whole album.
Trust me, you ain't the first guest to miss the homework if you ever check the messages. So, biggie.
I know where the Ghost Nation thing from, because Ghost Nation and Broken were both in the Dune soundtrack.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. And that would then fit with that kind of genre. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So,
I knew it sounded familiar from someplace, but I couldn't place it. Yeah.
Well, Gary has been doing it for 40 plus years, 45 years. He's been writing like Orwellian type of.
Oh God, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
Trust me.
Gary suffers from Asperger's.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like the lovable weirdo, in the sense of a lot of people.
Which is the best kind of weirdo.
Yep.
I mean, a lot of people that meet Gary are kind of like put off because he's either super friendly or he's super bird brainish. And it's not that he means to be, it's the disease of if he's working a lot, then he's bird brainish. Otherwise, he's, like super friendly and
I
whatnot.
completely understand. When I'm in, I tell my wife understands this. When I'm in my head, I'm either writing or I'm researching or I'm working on a problem. It used to be big stuff that I can't deal with people. I can't watch TV. I don't even want to eat. Just food. I don't want a break to eat. Just put food under the door. I'm in my laboratory. Leave me alone. But when I'm done and I don't have any of the stuff cramming my head, she can say, "Well, can we have a dinner with so and so?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, sure, now." But if you'd asked me 2 weeks ago, I wouldn't have been there if you'd made me go.
Right.
I would have been in my head the whole time and a horrible guest. And so I get that. So there are people that they get in their heads, and that becomes. My wife likes to call it a prison. I said, no, it's my safe space, right?
Yeah.
This is my safe place to just go wild with my thinking and not have to explain it to anybody. And when I'm in that place, I'm really not a social person at all. I'm in my own. I had to go to a memorial service this past weekend, and I had just finished wrapping up my book and sending it off to the editor, but I was still in my head. I was still in my bubble, and I'm standing around. I'm with 60 people I haven't seen in 30 years, and I'm not really engaging with a lot of them because I'm still in my head. And I'm feeling guilty about it as it's happening.
Yeah.
But I know that I have to have that transition before I can be pleasant again.
Yep. It makes sense, honestly. It
Usually
does.
a few nights sleep, a week or so later, I can start to kind of out of the shell.
Yeah, that's the spot I'm in right now with Mom. Like everything, I know she's probably not going to make it to the beginning of the year. And all my friends are like, you're being really callous and really cold about it. And the way you talk about it is very third personish and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, I don't mean to be, but look, I'm her only child. So I have all of this legal paperwork to deal with. I have all of this to deal with. I have all of this to deal with. I don't have time to cry about it in grief right now. Like I've got shit that has to be done.
Yeah.
I have a 13-year-old that I have sole custody of. I have dual bachelor degrees that I'm doing online. I don't have time to sit and wallow in pity. I will do that later, but right now I've got a house to protect through probate and all of this other shit that has to be dealt with in case she passes sooner rather than later. Because if this house goes into probate, then you got that whole legal battle, blah, 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 blah. So, I get it totally. Like,
yeah.
And those are the seasons where even idle chit chat can be an irritant.
See, I'm the opposite. I am with now 3 kids and a wife that needs attention. I do all this podcast shit at my job when I'm in between making calls, trying to make sales. Like I am so used to doing 5,000 things at once that it doesn't even, like I can edit podcasts and deal with my baby in between. Like I figured out ways in my head to do it all. So
I know how to multitask. It's simply the matter of, like he said, I get people's intentions are to check to see am I okay, check to blah, blah, blah. But it's kind of at the same time, I don't want to be rude to them and say, yeah, I don't really have time to just sit and idly talk about nothing.
I get it.
But I don't want to be an asshole and be like, hey, I don't have time to talk right now. So I'm trying to balance.
Trust me, my mom's been in bad health since I moved out back in 21, basically, and I just I feel bad. I feel like shit sometimes because I can't spend time with her. But I'm like, I don't have time to sit there and listen to you drunkenly tell me stories, or say the same sentence 5 times in a row. Like I don't have time for that. Like I'm good. Like I got 20 other things that require my attention at home. I don't need to come to your house and sit there and do nothing. Like it's just, I feel like an asshole, but it's the way it is sometimes. Like it's life. But well, what I will say, but getting back on topic anyway. CJ, Gary Numan. I know that name only because of all the brackets I've made for this show over the last like 7, 8 months to a year. He is in a lot of brackets with different
Everybody
topics.
knows the song Cars.
Well, that too. I actually asked the coworker today, I'm like, hey, what do you think of Gary Newman? Because I always go to him for music. Like whenever I'm listening to someone I don't really know. Like I'm like, what do you think of Gary Newman? And he's like, what do I know that name? And then he looked up and he's like, oh, Cars. I'm like, oh fuck. I'm like, I forgot about Cars.
It was a
I'm like, okay.
massive hit in the 80s.
I'm like,
It was a massive hit.
like we almost said for
Literally where the Cars got their name from.
we. It's funny because we said for a second we're like, was he in the Cars? And then they were like, no, he wrote the song Cars. Okay, yeah.
That's where Rico Casey got the name, and that's the Cars sound was literally based on, my girlfriend's girl, blah blah blah. That was all based on the sound that Gary
my best friend's girl, yeah. But I mean, overall, this album, I didn't love all of it. There are certain songs I really like. Some other songs I found like very monotonous and boring.
Yeah.
But there are certain songs in this that I found when he got into more of like almost what we now call like EDM techno. Like that is what those are the songs I like. The other songs are just like him, like basically whining in my eyes, and I'm like, what the hell?
I'm going to be completely honest. Listening to this record today, I was kind of like, I remember this record being better the first time I listened to it.
I brought those on the show.
That, like aged.
I brought those on the show before, so I get that. But yeah, I got a top 5 out of it. That's all I could ask for. Yeah. But what are your top 5 on it, CJ? Because we gotta finish this up.
Number 5 is The End of Things. Number 4 is Broken. It's the instrumental. It literally was in the Dune soundtrack. Number 3 is My Name Is Ruin. Number 2 is What God Intended. But my favorite song off this record, one of my favorite Gary songs, is Pray for the Pain You Serve. If you listen to the lyrics of that song, they're really deep. And they talk about the technology basically eating us alive and how it's what we're suffering is self-imposed pain, basically from technological poison, essentially, is what he's talking about. And how essentially technology will essentially cave in on itself and send us back to nothing.
Oh, that song was very Matrixy, very Terminator-y. Yeah. So
it's completely Matrixy. Like that's exactly what it is.
There's an element of truth in that I think we all sense. I don't think it's the technology itself. I think it's the greed and the power around it that will lead us there. But I think it's going to be the same result. Yeah.
Yeah. Eventually, I can honestly see us going back to a world someday where we hit to destroy all the technology we built, and we go back to a hunter-gatherer farmer society because we have no choice.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
I
know, right? I know.
Well, you younger kids might be able to survive that, but us older guys, who listen, I tell you, my coffee pot doesn't turn on, my refrigerator thaws, and I can't light the microwave. I don't live for a week. I give myself a week.
Well, see, that's where you're lucky. That's where you're lucky, because in those types of societies, the elders are honored, and they are just meant to sit around and tell you about the old days.
Yeah, but there's always the transition to the society where we become dinner.
Yeah. My grandfather,
this meat's a little tough and old, but I'm kind of hungry, so if I put in enough gravy on it, it'll be okay.
Yeah. My grandfather, who's 98, runs his farm every day. You're going to need to know this later. At 16, I couldn't wait to get the fuck away from that farm. Now I'm 54, and I look back and I think, Jesus Christ, I would love to live back on the farm and just be away from all of this bullshit in the city where I live,
Well,
and
I know Gary doesn't have a top 5 because he didn't get you guys to actually listen to the album in full, but or listen to the album at all besides the ones he knew already. But I only got 5 for this, CJ, and I had a
I didn't
I had
expect you to have 5, honestly. I thought there would be 3 of them that you would relate to.
no, I got 5 because Ghost Nation. I like that song from the get go. That's what I'm like. All right, what the hell's this album now? I hear Ghost Nation. I'm like, okay, this album's interesting, and I put it in my number. I almost didn't have it on my list, but I put it at the last minute, my number 5. But I'm like, all right, that gives me 5. So fuck it. Ghost Nation gets thrown in.
Mm-hmm.
My number 4 is it, and I'll begin with you because that's that's almost like a love song, like in a way. So I kind of dig that. My number 3 is When the World Comes Apart. That was an incredible song. My number 2 is Pray for the Pain You Serve because the lyrics in that song fucking were phenomenal, and the beat in the tempo were freaking amazing in that song.
Those 2 songs kind of go together as a
Yeah. And my number 1 is a song that really, like, the first 2 songs, like, even Ghost Nation, like, didn't blow me away. And then I heard My Name is Rune, and I was like, oh. I'm like, My Name is Rune is fucking phenomenal. I love this song. Like, so that became my number 1 right away. I'm like, that song didn't get knocked down by anything fucking else. Like, My Name is Rune is fucking, like, almost reminds me of, like, I mean, the only thing I could compare this album to even is like when Korn did their thing with like all the different EDM artists, like Path of Totality. That album is the only thing I can compare this album to.
And again, it's all based on what Gary pioneered. Going, in the beginning of that, there were 3 main people who pioneered this style. You had Danny Elfman over here with Oingo Boingo, who now Danny is, he's the biggest name in music soundtracks. He's done everything from, the Addams Family to every Tim Burton movie.
Yep.
Blah, blah, blah. You had Gary Numan, and then you had the guys in Kraftwerk.
Yep.
Who, those were the 3. If you take all electronic music, it all goes back to those 3 things.
And Kraftwerk is some of the weirdest fucking music you ever hear in your life.
Kraftwerk is that's the only word you can use to describe Kraftwerk. It's weird.
I mean, Kraftwerk had one song in the Rolling Stone Top 500. I forget what Autobahn. Yep, Autobahn. Yep. They had one song, and Gary Numan had none, and the other band you named didn't have any either. I can't think what the hell they're called. But
Boingo had Dead Man's Party.
That was not in the top 500. That was not in the Rolling Stone top 500. But
really,
Autobahn was.
Yeah.
Autobahn
is considered to be like the beginning of electronic music.
What was it, Autobahn? I don't think it was. I think it was another Kraftwerk song.
It was either Autobahn or Yellow Universe. Those are the 2 songs that are considered like the beginning of electronic.
I don't think it was either, honestly. But I gotta look it up because
you lost me then, because those are the 2 that 99% of people will.
Oh, Trans Europe Express.
Okay, so that's the B side of Yellow Universe.
It was it's number 238 in the top 500 songs. So So I mean, EDM. I'm not a huge fan of EDM, but sometimes it blows me away. Sometimes it doesn't. It depends on what the artist does, and it's just
Gary is
I can't
much more synthwave than he is EDM.
But you know what this band reminded me of? A band you brought a month ago or so, or a couple months ago, that I actually just released the episode a couple weeks ago. Pendulum.
Yeah. Again,
like Pendulum vibes.
All of these bands, dude, go back to Gary and Danny and Kraftwerk. Depeche Mode.
I mean, every music has its roots. I mean, that's just the way it is nowadays. Every music has roots somewhere. But
the crazy thing about modern technology, especially related to AI and music, I meant to say this earlier, is it's a double-edged sword.
Mm-hmm.
The good thing is anyone can be a musician, and they don't have to spend massive budgets to go to recording studios and all of that. Absolutely. What is the flip side of it? Everybody can be a musician, and there are those people that shouldn't be within 500 feet of a microphone.
That's true. But
You know,
I
that's
think
the
for
thing.
talented musicians, what I think will ultimately come out of this is two markets. You'll get the junk market where nobody really has any musical skills, but they want to write a song. Tell me you write a song about something or other. They didn't do anything.
Right.
Then you're going to get the musicians who know how to create lyrics, who have something to say, and maybe have a structure for their song, but they don't have the budget to produce in a studio with all the instruments they need. AI for that individual who's already written a song and basically saying, take this song and then make it sound like this, add that, add this other thing, emphasize this at the chorus. You've got new tools that reduces the cost of production of music, which is a real impediment for a lot of really talented musicians, and gives them more creativity than they might have otherwise around their core creativity. And that's where I think the benefits of the technology will be, is to enhance existing humanity skills, not replacing them. Replacing them will always turn out generic mishmash baloney. And there's some people, if they can put two notes together that sound right, they'll think they're a genius. But anybody who's really a good musician who can differentiate, like you guys do, between different artists, their roots, their sounds, their phases, way more so than I could ever do. I think for for the mass of humanity, they'll just still find and they'll still find the artists they love. The artists they love may use this new technology in some of their songs, but no good artist, no true artist mentality is going to use it for all.
Right.
And I don't see a day when we'll want to go to a concert and just watch an AI music from an AI character.
Exactly that right there.
You get
Is
any celebrity fandom out of that. That's not a sustainable model.
Nope. That's why holograms of dead musicians has never become a mainstream thing, because it's just nobody wants to do it. Nobody wants to see it, and
Yeah.
people know that, and they'll never become.
And
Otherwise,
that's
there'd be.
the cost that's associated with it.
We're
I mean,
always attracted. Think of every artist that attracts us. What attracts us to them is not just the raw musical quality, because there's amazing raw musical quality in lots and lots of artists. The ones that attract us are the ones that speak to our emotional, mental, and
Yep.
spiritual condition and state and beliefs. And they will resonate with us because they have something, they have a human perspective on a common experience. And that's something an AI will never have.
Exactly. I mean, otherwise there'd be holograms of Elvis and Tupac and Michael Jackson performing every stadium ever, every day of the week, because which that day may come, because if people can make money off something, they're going to do it eventually. But
we admire the people as
yeah,
much as the music.
exactly.
We admire the people because we wonder, wow, what did they experience? How did they come up with those lyrics that say what I'm feeling so succinctly?
Exactly.
And that's what we admire.
I mean, I hands down 100% would go pay to see a hologram of Prince doing his songs. But that's I would, just because I couldn't, I was never of the age to see him live when he was alive. So
I'd rather just watch a real
Prince
video.
Would be impossible. Prince would be impossible to capture in that aspect. Prince was too
raw.
He was too big. Like Prince
Yeah.
did so many things very well. He was a producer. He played 20 plus instruments. He was a singer. He was the conductor type. You can't capture all of those elements into a single.
You can't.
Sort of
I mean, if they did it, would I go see it once? Yeah, probably. But I never would want to go again after that, probably. But
and I'm certainly not paying the kind of ticket prices that's paid for some of these other guys, the real people. You're not going to get those ticket prices, that's for sure.
Oh no, God no. But
at the most, you could create like a Pink Floyd style Prince thing with his music and symbolism and that kind of stuff, but not like an AI type concept.
I've actually thought about going back, getting a license for an AI tool, music tool, and going back to some of my old albums and reproducing some of those songs with an AI. That sounds fun to me because it would be a sweatless studio experience as opposed to a painful studio experience. the tens and the tens of hours it takes to to record a really good song, and then you go in and you get an AI to do it. I think it would be fun to kind of just play around with that. Now do this song in a reggae, in a Bob Marley style. Do this song in a Eagles style, and
Yeah.
playing around with that variation of song and style, and playing with that would be an incredible amount of fun.
Well,
Yeah.
it definitely would be interesting. But, folks, we brought you 3 albums tonight. We have talked about them in full. And what do you see we got next week for you? Next week's going to be another similar.
Heavy. Oh.
It's gonna be it's almost gonna be a similar show in a way, but a little heavier, yeah. And
It's
I'm
going to be way heavier, bro. Come on.
well,
You have
yeah.
Iron Maiden and fucking Death Angel. Like,
Yeah.
it's a thrash show. Okay.
It's gonna be a thrash show. We're jumping back. We're jumping back a few years, but it's still gonna be a thrash show. But, Guy, where can people find you if they want to find your books or even your music? I can't find. I try going on Spotify and find your music. I can't find it.
I'm not on Spotify. Go Guy Morris at Bandcamp.
Okay.
I found it.
There's a children's album there that has some of my demos for Disney. There's a Christmas album, a spiritual album, and just another kind of other album. They're all different phases and different times. Some of them I recorded everything myself in a home studio, and I never really mastered it. I just had mixed downs that I decided to upload. So some of it's pretty raw. It probably needs to be remixed or mastered, but there's a variety of different styles in there. That some of the songs I think are brilliant. Some of the songs I listen to and I think, oh, that sucks. I need to go back and either throw that away or start over or reproduce it or something. And there's always that creative element that I never. It was always hard for me to finish it because I was never 100% satisfied. There was always a part of me that said I want to go over. So yeah. So they're now for my books, GuyMorrisBooks.com. I just released my 4th book. It has already won an award, Literary Excellence Award out of the Reader's House out of London. Deals with artificial intelligence, black holes, creating mini black holes, quantum theories of consciousness in humans and machines. It's a cool, intense book. I'm being told it's my best yet.
Interesting. I definitely want to check that out. That sounds like my kind of book.
Yeah.
But and of course, we want to thank you for coming on, Guy. We'll have to get you on again in the future, and where you, at least in the future, you got to do the homework.
Next time I know I've got homework. Okay.
But CJ, where can they find you if they dare?
Just type in music guy CJ Plain. I'm everywhere. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. If you look me up on YouTube, you'll find the Music God Reacts, which is music reactions. And you'll find the Noise Report, which is retired now. We're going to replace it with the Mosh Pit Manifesto, which is the metal and punk show. And we are near the end of the final editing for the 2 books. We're not going to make it out this year, but early next year I'll have 2 books coming out. One in the early part, one in the middle of the year. One nonfiction horror comedy and one fictional horror comedy and one non-fiction about the hair metal of the 80s and the 90s. Talking about all of those great bands like Shark Island.
I was actually trying to imagine the non-fiction horror comedy.
Yeah. Yeah. Screwed that one up, didn't I?
It's about
we're
COVID.
writing a horror comedy book that is Van Wilder meets Texas Chainsaw Massacre, basically. So, we're going to combine my love of truck stops, my love of metal, and my love of horror into one story. So, yes, murder at the local truck stop.
Murder mayhem.
Yeah. Murder mayhem, the diesel trucks.
Well, folks, you can find both your musers and our past episodes with all the past co-hosts as Maniacal Music Musings on any podcatcher. on Facebook as Squatchy Largefoot, on X and the Gram as that Juggalo Bastard, or on YouTube as Maniacal Music Musings. The best place to see everything is YouTube. All 100 plus episodes of the regular episodes and all the specials. But come back next week and check out the amazing episode we're going to have for you guys
We're gonna listen to
with,
stuff like this.
with a with a guest that actually is in the same freaking town as me. No, we're not recording locally, but still, he's literally lives like 2 miles from me. So come back next week and check that out, and we'll be back with our bracket specials a week from Saturday. So till then, have a good night, everybody, and go check out some metal. That's what we're hitting lately and in the future. So go check it out. Have a good night, everybody, and thank you, Guy, for coming on. It's been a fun show, and
My
we'll
pleasure.
definitely be back again.
Thank you.
Wrong button. I don't want to.